Okay, so this video is a little later than I had hoped, because we're going for independence now. And to look at the historical mirror, I have to talk about the War of Indonesian Independence. And that is tough to do justice as a Dutchman. And I want to try and do it justice, especially because I saw that a plurality of the viewers on the first episode was from Indonesia, which I absolutely love. So, selamat datang semuanya, nama saya Zondagskind dan saya suka bermain Victoria 3. I hope that pronunciation was halfway decent. Now, on to the Indonesian National Revolution, aka Independence War. Just to reiterate, I'm not a historian, and as a Dutchman, I will probably be talking a bit more about the Dutch perspective than a quote-unquote neutral historian would. But let's try to set the stage. In the first half of the 20th century, Indonesia was going through a national awakening. People were trying to figure out what does it mean for all these different peoples and islands thrown into a common destiny of oppression by the Dutch to be unified. What is our language? What is our culture? Sukarno was already a prominent figure in that and was jailed by the Dutch government. Then Second World War rolls around and Japan occupies the Dutch East Indies. They put the Dutch, not just POWs, but also their families into internment camps with very bad conditions. And Sukarno is, let's say, promoted by the Japanese government to lead Indonesia at that time. Japan originally wanted to really keep Indonesia as part of their empire, but as they realized that they were going to lose the war against the US, they actually capitulated not to the Dutch, but to Sukarno. And so Sukarno, of course, has no reason to give up this unique opportunity because all the Dutch military are strewn about in POW camps around the Pacific. To give up that unique position to then try to negotiate with the government that had formerly jailed him. On the other hand, you can already see how the Dutch and British kind of saw this as a continuation of Japanese occupation rather than a legitimate independent government. So a war breaks out in 1945 and it is bloody and it goes back and forth. It could have gone either way, maybe, at some points. And in the end, in 1949, Indonesia prevails and Indonesia secures independence under Sukarno as their president. The history of Indonesia as an independent country is super interesting to talk about, but I am not qualified to talk about it. I know more about the aftermath for the Netherlands. And in the immediate, people of mixed and Dutch descent had to leave Indonesia for the Netherlands. And sadly, in the Netherlands, they were treated as second-class citizens, put into quote-unquote temporary homes, and then left to their own devices. In a more light-hearted note, what we call Chinese restaurants actually have a bunch of Indonesian dishes, like pangsit goreng, babi panggang, kerupuk. But to this day, we have to reckon with how bloody that war was. The Japanese occupation and Indonesian independence were collectively commemorated here as the Inje-herdenking. And the most recent one was controversial in that, as a speaker, the daughter of Raymond Westerling was invited. And Raymond Westerling was a soldier in the Dutch colonial military, and during the independence war in South Sulawesi, left a trail of destruction, summarily executed people who were suspected of being spies. And his daughter made the argument that we should not judge that by modern eyes, and that her father was actually a hero. Now, I'll acknowledge that both sides were summarily executing people. And this was off the back of the Second World War, where the Japanese with the camps had set the precedent of being very cruel to one another. But I find the modern eyes argument ludicrous. In 1623, 400 years ago, the greatest Dutch poet, Joost van der Vondel, was already criticizing Jan Pieterszoon Koen, the Governor General, for being too violent, for being too bloody. We talked about Max Havelaar in the second episode. It is nonsense to say that the idea that violence is bad is a modern idea. Okay, long intro, I know, but I couldn't do this justice in 1 minute. Gameplay-wise, We're trying to go for independence in a much more cooperative way. Our president or governor general is actively working towards independence, and we will see that mechanic will work out thanks to pan-nationalism. I'll talk about how that maybe could be improved at the end of the episode, but for now, I hope you enjoy. Netherlands should be on our side. And let's make sure we make progress against the rebels. Where is your capital state? Yeah. There we go. So we make that our strategic objective. Losing a lot of money now. We'll have to fix that when we fix that. In fact, now we can actually pull up those gold mines. Because this should be all the fronts. It appears so. There's triage as well, which I think we can do without penalty. Yeah, that's without penalty. Austria sides with the Revolt. That's not great. Yeah, and Austria is sending in troops. Lead is in shortage. Yep. We'll deal with that as soon as possible. First, we need to win the war. It seems to be working. Ah, but that's an Austrian defense. And universal suffrage is right around the corner. Feels weird that we're going to change the voting laws right before the election. Or it's actually just after the election. Never mind. We have broken through the lines here on Java. Meanwhile, we're building those gold mines, which are very important to us. And we had an election. Isaac van Wezenbeke is our Governor General. And he's probably the guy who's going to lead us out of the union with the Netherlands. Oh, this is a pretty convincing victory. Whoa, why are you all the way over there? That makes no sense. Anyway. We now have universal suffrage. And... boop. Can we win, please? Hello? Hello? Okay, whatever. Yeah, we're keeping the government as it is. It is super legitimate, apparently, as well. So, seems good. Okay, just give up. Revolutionaries. Oh, no. What? What? How? What? How? How are there two fronts here? What? Are you kidding? Yeah. Prince Raphael Kruis. Oh, so you became a monarchy. Good stuff. Oh, you're building... The private investors just love their arts academy on the Moluccas. Revolutionaries, you know you've lost. Just give it up. Give it up. We now annex them. Oh, also, didn't want to click away from that. We have steel frame building. Ooh, whew, it's a lot of money we have to spend on that, but it will boost our construction a lot. And there's the path to liberalism as well. So Isaac van Wezenbeke, our Governor General, could become very popular. Hans van Oranje-Nassau from the Industrialist could become a radical. He's already a reformer though, which is pretty good. And Gijsbert van Utenhoven. Nah, I think Van Wezenbeke is fine here. And yeah, hardly anyone minds that we go to propertied women, so let's do it. Do it. And we now border Tidore. Annexed subject. So we're only below the British Raj in terms of prestige. The second most powerful puppet of anyone. It's steam engine time was also completed again, I think. Weird. Okay, so the war against Tidore is going swimmingly as well. Popular playwright endorses reform. At this point, I don't care as much about 20 prestige anymore. Just 10% success chance here feels good. Dutch East Indies woman's travels. Let's go. Yes, 98% success chance. Seems balanced. Boop. There we go. Welcome into the Empire. And there's propertied women. We can take in maybe this Leonard von Alten guy, because then there should be a movement for enact restricted child labor, and nobody hates that, so let's go. And France did take the Rhineland from Bavaria, and Prussia did take back Saxony, and our infamy is 0. So, you know what that means. War! Let's see, this war with Maguindanao. There goes Mindanao. Ooh, and you're allied with Portugal? Yeah, defensive pact with Portugal. So, take Philippine Mindanao. That's probably fine. But we can take these Portuguese colonies off of them. No big deal. Working on cotton plantations. Hey, Philippine back down. Nice. That's good. Multiculturalism, no migration controls. Yeah, that's going to take a while. Then, homesteading. Hell yeah. Frick those landowners. Oh, illegitimate government again. What? What? How? How does this have legitimacy? Well, that gives this 0 enactment chance. Too bad. Austria has a colony in Eastern New Guinea. Well, I think if you want to play the game on, I think you want to go for all of Papua. And I think you want to yoink that colony off of the Austrians. Definitely, I think the Netherlands won't be able to resist us once we declare our independence. We won't be up against Russia anymore either. So that's interesting. The Agrarian Party is very powerful once again. And together they make a righteous government. Prussia's looking strong, but they haven't touched Holstein yet, which means they can't unify. Baden is now an Austrian puppet. Or it's just Austria proper? What? And Austria has colonized Western New Guinea. How dare you? There's field hospitals, which we can totally do because we have our own opium. And there's support to enact multiculturalism. Yeah, we can totally try that. And that's just from the population support. Right. So that's how that works. France is colonizing East New Guinea as well now. The 7 cataracts. While walking through the forest of British Congo Oriental, the expedition follows the rumor of water currents until reaching uncharted waterfalls. From now on, they shall be known as the Van Brederode Falls. Splendid. Yeah, the standard of living is just stagnating. I must misunderstand how standard of living even works. because I can't seem to do anything about it. We'll wait until October 17, and if we enact multiculturalism, we're going for it. Then, united, the peoples of the East Indies decide that colonialism is not okay and that they want to break free from the Dutch overlordship, which at this point, what's it even worth, right? We have an economy 3 times as large, and law and advancement. Last tick is still within this year, so let's see. And now we're going to do it either way. We will get rid of an 81.8k diplomatic pact. Okay, we're going to do it. It's January 1, 1876. We're saving up. It's 40 years into the campaign. And we're now going to make the big move. Independence from the Kingdom of the Netherlands. And let's try and yoink their colonies as well. There's volcanization. Oh, that is grand, actually. Steel railway cars. As we go through, expand the rubber industry. Now we can do this. And we could go for this, but I believe that there's a penalty. Yeah. So let's not do... Well, actually we'll have time to cool it off. So let's do it. But now probably rubber is insanely expensive. Stop with the trade routes. And get those plantations rolling. Ottoman Empire sides with the Netherlands. Weird. How is the Ottoman Empire? How is the Ottoman army looking? Line infantry, mobile artillery. And they had a primary equipment adjustment. So, I think we're okay. And we have multiculturalism. And let's try and go for... Well, let's hold off on any laws now. Because we want to be unified in war. 2 arms. And we can just immediately go over here and yoink those Southwest African colonies off of the Netherlands, hopefully. Oh, and there's a naval invasion in our lands. Which we are defending against. Actually, I should make sure that everyone's mobilized. Forgot about that. We took the first part of Dutch Southwestern Africa. Now let's go for the other part. The Ottomans are also starting a naval invasion, so it's a double naval invasion, and we're holding off on both of them. So now they are losing war support a little quicker, mostly because we control war goals and they do not. And here's the other colony. 2 weeks. Oh, and we already did. We do have the penalty of having more radicals, but that isn't too bad. They took a lot more casualties and have a little fewer men available in the first place. We also now control all our war goals, so they're losing 2 points and we're losing half a point per a week. Another naval invasion in West Java. Ooh, badly prepared. Yeah, that is a big stomp for us. So that's going to give him a lot of extra war exhaustion there, because of all the casualties. So it will end the war sooner. That's good. Now the Ottomans are invading Dynam as well, and they're losing that. Yeah, the Vietnamese navy is of course no match for the Dutch. And they are landing, and they are winning that battle. Yeah, lot of dead Vietnamese, sadly. But we are winning. Let's go. Everyone in. Ooh, there's a legitimist revolt in France. Wait, a legitimist? Shouldn't a legitimist pick, what's it called? A Bourbon? Yeah, Vietnam is losing that battle as well. Oh. Ottoman Empire's out, and there's modern nursing. Yes, very nice. So, the Netherlands are left without much help. And we're going to get this war over with very soon. Oh, high attrition. Yeah, that'll happen. Maori mass migration. Hey, and Australia formed. Good stuff. Canada is also formed. Nice. We're making progress here against the Netherlands, despite our high attrition. Do we win this battle? Think so. And there's the election. So yeah, all of these are still doing just great. We win this. We win this. Boop. Okay, we can take this this peace deal. And huzzah! The Dutch East Indies are free. And now we should get an event that will make us Indonesia. Hello? What? Huh? There we go, the East Indies end. Not sure why that took so long. Rendered without support by the withdrawal of its colonial overlord, the Dutch East Indies administration has begun to collapse across the Indonesian archipelago. It seems that colonial rule is at an end at last. Across the islands the silence rose like a wave. Cut telegraph wires, deserting policemen, farmers that would no longer report their harvests, and then the silence broke, and with it came annihilation. And we can become Indonesia. Otherwise, you would become a Java. And you could also remain the Dutch East Indies, but then you get a lot of radicals. So, let's click the button! Indonesia! And all of our guys who were Dutch are now replaced by people of... let's see... can I see, like... Balinese, Batak, Bornean, Dayak, Javan, Malay, Moluccan, or Sumatran cultures. And because we have multiculturalism, everyone is accepted. But our biggest ones are Javan, and by this point Dutch, which I think historically is already like different than it was. I think the percentage of Dutch population was below 5%, even at the end of the Dutch East Indies. And obviously the Dutch East Indies didn't become independent until after the Second World War, historically. But we did it, Reddit. We're Indonesia. Look at this nice blue color. Look at how big our empire is. We're already a great power, just behind the United States, Prussia, France, Russia, Austria, Great Britain. So we are the biggest non-European power, outclassing by quite a bunch our former overlord, the Netherlands. So are we winning? Yes, we just won. As far as I'm concerned, at least. Standard of living has also increased because of that. We did lose a bunch of GDP because our economy is just out of whack. But yeah, now so our guy is Gedesang, a pacifist from the rural folk. So yeah, good stuff. Still legitimate government. So that's nice. Very strong, of course. But yeah, I think we're going to call it there. We became independent. We are in a bit of an economic crisis, but we're working on that by building the right buildings. And this is how you do it. You declare independence, and then, as long as you have pan-nationalism, you can form Indonesia. And with that, this playlist is also going to come to an end, but first I do want to say a couple things about the gameplay aspects that I think could be improved upon maybe in further DLCs. I think, just simply put, there can be more narrative content. I think something like the publishing of Max Havelaar, of course not at the exact moment when it historically happened, and maybe you give it a different name, but something like that, like a book that actually changes some laws, could definitely be fun to do. And you can have that event fire both in the quote-unquote home country and in the colony, where it affects the player and where the player can choose to act on it. And the second big thing that stands out to me is how I go from one moment to the next, from having Dutch politicians, generals and admirals fight for independence, to, after achieving that, having only Indonesian politicians, generals and admirals. I think especially in a playthrough like this, where we kind of collectively did it, is my headcanon at least, that there would be a more gradual transition. You know, bring in an agitator for countries like India, or if it gets colonized, Vietnam, where you have someone from the native culture climb up into politics and into the military. Maybe I just did it too fast for that to trigger. But that would be really cool if Gedesang, who was our president as we declared independence, had already been a figure, had already been there, and maybe at first we try to suppress his power because it's too dangerous to go for independence already. But yeah, really having him already figure and not just pop up at the moment of independence, I think is really the thing. And conversely, at least when it's this kind of collective independence, the Dutch the Dutch heritage shouldn't just immediately evaporate. But that is going to do it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Terima kasih for the people watching from Indonesia. Subscribe and ding the bell so you know when the next episode or playlist goes live, and I will see you then. Bye bye!